allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Craig called. He is running just a little bit further behind than Derek and I. He was happy to know the chief of police was on the west end of town so that he can hustle in here. So everybody get a chance to check out the minutes from September 14th of 2021 in your packet. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, we'll approve them as printed. Acknowledgement of clerks and treasurers. I think we only had treasurer's report.
That's correct.
Is that 2 months in a row? Do we need to,
We have July, August, and September.
from the clerk?
I think that's correct.
Okay.
I think it's been a little-
Okay, department reports. Who wants to go first? Chuck? No. Like, what is going on? David?
I gave you guys the end of the month report, for the total for the month. Anyway, I gave you the end of the month report for September. We had a total 421, total year to date bill was $2,593,625.40. Total year date collected is $1,171,307.90. Percentage collected 45.6. The new accounts that we had then was 302,148, and we collected 142,000 out of that. $142,323.31. The insurance adjustments was $38,342.65. Also, I want to let you know that this year we have collected $220,000 more than we did last year this time. We've also billed out $633,007 more this year than last year. So we've had more that we brought in and we've billed out more too. I also gave you guys an article to look at. I strongly ask you to read this article I gave you guys. This is what ADMS is business country. It's also hit us pretty hard. I talked to you guys about this. I know Knox County, I just heard Knox County shut their EMS down until they don't, the private had it. I guess so they're shutting down. So now the ministry, one of them, told that they got basically 60 days to come up with something. Don't go. All the others have the same problem. AMR. So I ask you guys, please read that article. Get more insight into what I've been trying to explain to you guys. It's been hitting us hard. We've had several days we did not get enough to have all our angels. We've had the last 2 weeks that we've had an ambulance that we could staff. We just can't get people, and we're having trouble. We're having people talk about leaving, and that's what I've been. We've already had one just left. So I ask you guys, please, it really goes in country, and it's also low. It's not just please, you guys have any questions? Because if you do, I'd like to answer them if you've got any questions about what I'm trying to get across. Okay. So, I think that's it. You guys have any questions about other?
Other department reports? Old business. Additional appropriation request for Mounts Electric from Brant Johnson. 12,000. Oh, okay. Did we get a copy of the contract? Can you send that? I got something the next day.
That's on that mounts. Is that the one that the commissioners are arguing about, the change order?
No, I don't know if it is or not. Because that's on Toyota Lot 4. I don't know if they're connected.
I know Commissioner Fleetwood, he contacted about that and didn't think that we owed it, so I don't know. Larry Mickle, you know something about it?
Yes, I talked, I was at the last, county council, county commissioners meeting. And I think the time before, BLN is the overseer, it was the engineer for those lights. And the first day that they was in force, there was a wreck. And so I wanted to change out, but do some changes, and they changed that. And then, this is what I know, to my knowledge, and they wanted to build redevelopment, and the county council, the county commissioners, and Mr. Fleetwood and Montgomery wanted to see one explanation why that happened and whatnot. And they felt it was BLN's mistake, if they wanted to call it a mistake, it was BLN's mistake, and they should be the one standing behind that and not the county.
Okay.
And so then I came to the redevelopment meeting in September and wanted us to okay it. And we said them, the back commission, what we said, that's not our call there. And so the commissioners, I asked them for BLN representative to give an explanation. They haven't done so. That's where that stands,
Okay.
that's to my knowledge.
So what Brant sent us was a letter from Mouse Electric back in December of 2020 that basically said, please see attached PDF for our proposed amendments to the traffic signal maintenance agreement. We hope you find them reasonable. They are only meant to keep up with actual cost associated, the complexities of the system, and Toyota's expectations of a quick and timely response. It'll go into effect February 21st, so I guess it's in effect. So, I mean.
So this is outside the scope of that issue with that. I mean, this was already part of their deal as far as, this is the maintenance. This doesn't have anything to do with the actual installation of the light, whether it was right or wrong. It's just what Mounts' contract is to maintain those facilities.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Now,
So
that
that's
fund
totally
may,
separate than,
is that fund may have had money used though because of that or not?
I wouldn't think so.
It hadn't yet.
There's always been a line in the commissioner's budget or the highway budget for that Mounts Electric, which, they maintain the traffic lights and the street lights are all those around that perimeter road. So probably whenever they knew that there was a new light coming in for this parking lot, that's probably what that is, but I don't know.
So this document has no signature on it, so I don't know that I'm assuming they agreed to that, but
the
the
commissioners.
commissioners, but I don't know. You want to table it and find out or how?
Well, I think one of the commissioners in the highway department needs to be in person to explain what's going on. I assume that it's legit, but when you make assumptions, you don't know sometimes.
I'll make a motion to table until we get some more information because
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to table. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Should I reach out to them or Can you guys reach out to have a better explanation, preferably before the council meeting, so we can make a decision on that. All right, additional appropriations, public hearing and resolution. Is this, yeah,
Or not that one.
okay. Does everybody have that in front of them? Okay, she's saying this 12,000 that's in the 1176 was for what we just talked about. So we'll only be voting on the 16,000 for the general fund and the 85,000 from Cume Building.
And that landmark invoice was for what?
I would imagine for work on the furniture building.
Yeah, for the new offices for the public defender and all that.
Because I remember I asked about whether they've been more responsive. You know, they had a lull there.
Do you want to do them in one motion or two?
We can do them separate.
So the 16 is
The server move.
server move in the sheriff's department, and the 85 was for landmark.
I'll make a motion to approve the $16,000 out of general fund for the sheriff's office server move.
I'll second. Motion. Second, Riley. Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0. We have a motion for the 85,000. Is that,
I was just gonna confirm if I could find it. Okay, come before the council. And Mr. Spindler was here. Was for the Cume Building Fund for the new building. So it looks like.
That for the pre-design stuff.
I think so, yeah.
They're not ready to move forward, but we have.
They don't know what street it is, yeah.
It's just hovering right now in the clouds, the building is, and eventually if we decide to build a jail, we'll drop this building somewhere else. I'll make a motion to approve the 85,000 from 1136 Cume Building.
motion, is there a second? Seconded by Dan Beard. Any further discussion, questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. Invoices, K. And we approved the money out of
So.
the jail budget, the transfer.
Design. But
We could call it
There's,
something else, you mean?
there's, yeah. Is it pre-design, design?
Redesign. Okay, so we transfer that into pre-design. We voted on that last month, but apparently there wasn't clarity on where it would come from, whether we'd pay for it out of a different line that had funding or transfer into the pre-design phase, but I think to keep it clean, we'll go back to pre-design.
That's to pay for,
Byron Sanders is second. round.
that's all for him then, or is there more for him? It should be all, I guess.
That's all.
Yeah, he's done
Yeah,
for now.
Yeah, he's still been a valuable resource.
Has he?
Owner's rep for jail construction.
I did all the, proposed contract. On the jail project, also mentioned that there was a jail steering committee meeting October 19th, be a week from today. Is open to the public and to be discussion on the Gulf jail, obviously. And then the commissioners meet after that, they just meet at 5. There'll be some further discussion. Also, our application with Duke Energy for their incentive program on helping on the design and electrical work on the jail, that was approved. And so they're going to be working with RQAW to work on the incentive program so the county can actually get money back by using their program. So it's a pretty good deal. Like that, RQW didn't know that existed until we were able to come up with that. And so we're like for other construction projects they're working on. So we should get some money back on that.
You have any idea?
Well, they said anywhere from 10 to 40,000.
Okay.
You know, it's not millions, but it
Something.
helps, you know. So this one kind of updates you on that. So that's all I've got except for.
Do you have any information on the ordinance we passed last month in regards to any negotiations with the monument place or anything? Are you,
Which place?
the monument place?
Oh, well, that's a work in progress.
Okay,
And I shouldn't really discuss too much.
and that's fine. I didn't know if
It is, it could be a possible litigation down the road, not saying so it will not be, but hopefully it's not. And so they are talking with monument people, working closely with Jason Spengler, and also been working with them on coming up with some answers for some questions that they've had. And so I've been reviewing all your minutes, and they've been really interesting to read since 2019. And apparently, you know, there's been a lot of comments made by council about how much money is going to be allowed to build the jail. And our goal is to stay within that amount that you all had suggested back in 2019. So that's what we're going to work with. Okay, so that's what I got.
So the not to exceed that you mentioned at the bottom, what are you calling the phase that you're involved in right now? When does it end and what's its not to exceed? Do you know?
Well, I've been, you know, commissioner since August. And so right now we're still in, I would say, the sheriff has been with me, but we've had some meetings with RQAW on design, fit a location. Okay. So we're still in the design phase. We're still, hopefully, when we get past this, we'll be in the acquisition phase of the property. And then we'll move on to bids and then, you know, design and final design of the building, what's going to actually, and then we'll end up doing bids. They're going to bid it in phases. My understanding is that the first thing they really need to get on is steel and roofing material. Apparently that is going to be a big issue getting it here.
Mhm.
And there's like a 6 months time delay on ordering steel. So that's something that really needs to happen soon, but obviously you can't do that until we've got the right spot for it. So everybody's on that.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we are. If you want to call that design and bidding phase, obviously that would be fine. How long that's going to last and the rate we're going, I'd say it's probably going to be January, maybe February, or something gets bid out. I hope it's soon.
With Byron, our goal there was, and maybe we can have this by the next meeting, like,
You know, he gave us a not to exceed number. We appropriated that amount. You know what I mean? That's how we based what we were going to appropriate for that portion of the project. And basically told him, you come back and you have to go over that. We want you to come back and talk to us and talk about why and what that is.
It's, you know, reasonable way to do this.
Yeah.
And get you an update. Well,
Okay.
things like update you on, obviously will.
So I think if we can see that number, you can look at where you are right now with it already and then try to come up with a not to exceed.
probably, one of the biggest issues we've got coming, we've got a federal court report that's coming up here in the next 2 weeks. So that's got to get put together and
For sure.
it's kind of hinging a little bit on what happens at our October 19th meeting. Is how, what we're going to add in that report. So I guess I would ask that, would we be in agreement on the rate, which is a lot less than what the commissioners want to pay? Which is fine, I'm not complaining, or anything like that, but we kind of like to know where we're headed with this.
I'm fine with it.
Comfortable with it? Okay.
Yeah. If you want to come up with a not to exceed number, or you want me to come up with it, just kind of tell me. And
It'd probably be best to have your estimate and then I'm happy to talk about it with you between now and then if you feel like.
Between now and January, I can't imagine it being over 5,000.
Okay.
That would be, in my opinion, high.
Well, establishing a rate, then basing on what you've worked and what you plan on working, you'll be able to come up with a pretty
Yeah.
easy number. And I'm,
5,000 in addition to what you've done, not including what you've done already.
we're good with that.
That's not including what you've done already, or is it?
Yeah.
If you can just kind of use that same math you just did in your head on that to come up with where, and add it with what you've already done, I think that would suffice.
So do you want to, so we're in agreement on the rate?
Yeah.
That I suggested here. And then all thing you want from me is another document of some kind, or just kind of give you a report, this is what.
It just in order for us to appropriate the money, we just need to know how much money we're gonna appropriate.
When do you need that?
When do you want paid?
Well, whatever, I mean, I'm just trying to get a feel for what, when you want something. Do you need that before your next meeting, or do you need to do an advertisement?
We'll just transfer on that, right? I mean, we've appropriated a pool of dollars so we'd have money to transfer out of, you know? So yeah, I think if we have that next meeting,
Next meeting, we can do a transfer then.
we can do a transfer.
Do a transfer. All
Mhm.
right, well, we'll have that for you. All right, thank you.
Thank you, George.
Any other old business? New business, additional appropriation, Laura Hoppy from the Fort Branch Library.
So, for Branch Johnson Township. We purchased property next to the Fort Branch Campus Library in May. We paid for that out of our operation. But now at the end of the year, we're getting a little tight, so we'd like to take money out, our own money out of our savings and we need your permission to do such. So, we're wanting to take 35,000 out of our rainy day fund, which is Fund 201, and 50,000 out of our rainy day capital project fund. Which is
What-
Fund 321.
What is that fund number?
I'm sorry,
What's that fund number? Account,
421.
and do you have the balances in front of you on those two? No, I meant the balances on each fund.
How much is in there?
There's a funny law about appropriating money that doesn't exist.
In our capital project, in the 421, we currently have $50,316.11.
Okay,
And then in the Fund 201, our rainy day, we have $87,752.43.
enough to cover what they need, so. I'll make a motion to approve the additional transfers of 35,000 from Fund 201 Rainy Day Fund and 50,000 from Fund 421 Rainy Day Capital Improvements.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. New additional appropriations. Personal services. Oh, the additional is in
It's a new fund. It's a local road fund.
the redevelopment authority fund.
Yes. They got some money from an easement and now
Okay.
they have to pay for the
Okay. You just said the redevelopment authority fund 4050 is a new fund that needs to be appropriated. They got some revenue from an easement.
Mhm.
And now they need to have money approved to pay for the appraisal. $1,750.
So it's going into 4050 coming from 010333. And what is 010333?
Professional services or other services.
Okay, but it's got that amount of money in it.
They have 6,750, and I'm gonna put all 6,750 into that 010333, but they're only using about $1,000 right now.
Okay, so this is the revenue money that we're putting in there. I got you.
Just to cover us for the rest of the year, if there's anything else.
I'll make the motion to allow the additional.
Motion, is there a second? Any discussion? Anybody have any more questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? 6-0. And then we're up here. So we also have personal services transfer requests from Fund 9122010113 Community Corrections 2021 Grant Fund, and from 010113 part-time overtime into 010112 field officer in the amount of $116.35. Transfer reason is moving money out to zero out field officer line.
We had that split to pay part of the salary for that field officer, part of the.
Okay.
So that's-
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second to approve that transfer? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? 0. Fund 1,0470114 full-time paramedics into 470117 overtime paramedics, $40,000. And we also have a request for 470116 part-time paramedics, AMT, EMTI into 470118 overtime for AEMTs in the amount of $20,000, both cited because of being low in funds.
Just to explain this a little bit to you too. We're about 450 runs over what we had last year. We've also had a lot of patients, or a lot of our people with COVID. We've had a lot of people out this year with injuries, illness, COVID. And I know we're struggling to, even like this thing a little bit ago. A lot of times it's getting hard to get people to fill these spots. So we're using a lot of overtime. And then remember also in the year when we took out, I think it was 16,000 out of, and this is what, when I asked you guys about the part-time clerk inside, in our office, I think you guys took 16,000 out of the overtime paramedic and put in there. So we're short of that. And then plus we've had all the COVID and, all the injuries, illness, all that just combined. So, there's a decent chance we're going to run low this year as we get towards the end of the year. Right now, I'm moving that money. I want to move that money so that we can continue to go. But I think we're going to run short on money this year because of all this.
Are the paramedic lines and the AMT lines going to go negative because of this transfer? They won't go negative. We got the money there to move.
Yeah, he may need an additional later on, but yeah.
Salary line up.
This is what's there. It's 35 there, just down to 95.
Like I asked you guys, I don't know if you remember, whenever we took the 16 job, I said, I asked, well, I need that. I asked for it, so we can always ask. So I'm just telling you right now, between COVID, we got one out right now, COVID. We've had several with COVID here recently. And it's not just like one day of illness. When we get somebody out with COVID, they're usually out 3 days or more. And we have that going on. But we had a paramedic just got on the steps the other day. I'm not sure when he's coming back. We've had other surgeries. And, we've been hit hard this year. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just wanting to do some money to make sure I'm hoping that that will get us through November, and I'll have to see where we're at.
So how does it, on the overtime, I think there's a couple of employees, it's just, the number of hours is just off the charts.
Because they're the ones doing the work.
But does, I mean, if they're working that many hours, I mean, are they not burnt out? Can they not?
That's the problem, and that's what I've been trying to say. We cannot, unless we change several things, that's what I'm trying to get across, is we're going to get into this problem. Because a lot of them are just so tired. I'm not joking, they are just, they're beat. And I don't know how they're still doing it. The one, I know one in particular, he's been working a lot of hours. Now, the good thing is he's not a paramedic. So he's working a lot of hours, but all the more critical things, it gives him a little more rest because he's not taking all the really bad runs and stuff. But the point being is we've been hit hard this year. COVID hit us early in the year quite hard, and now it's started back up again. Like I said, all these other things going on too, so, it's. And, the thing is, there's a lot of them that is working, several extra days each week. And every week they're, if you look at, they put 3 days in their rotation at 72 hours. And a lot of them putting in a lot more than that. And that's per week. The other day I figured out that most of our other good kind of employees 9 hours every day for the year. And it's difficult for these guys to keep up. And, even though I've tried to let everybody know that we've increased, if you guys, allowed us to increase the part-time pay, it's still, it's a work in progress. It's not going to turn around overnight. And that article I gave you, if you look at it, take time to read, you'll understand this is, I know down in Foley County, they've been shutting trucks down. We've been able to usually not completely shut it down, but we usually have 3 ambulances running. And sometimes we have to go to an ALS non-transport unit. But that's the best we've been able to do sometimes. There's a lot of times we've been able to keep, all 4 ambulances running. But it's been a bad year. And a lot of them just wore out. So.
I guess going back to your earlier proposal, though, to raise to a salary amount, how do you, if you can't get people to work when they have overtime offered, how will won't that get worse whenever?
No, at least.
Whenever they're not getting compensated for it?
It's just like everything that you try to do, okay? You're taking some things by faith of what you know of the past, and that's what I'm doing on some of it. But what I have seen generally is if we can get that pay up, first of all, we've lost one. There's 2 others that's been talking about recently about leaving. I don't know if they'll do it or not. If they do it, we're going to be in world of trouble then. And we're probably going to be having to shut some of these units down as paramedic and go to either an advanced EMT or unit or basic EMT unit. Because I don't know if we'll be able to replace them. So that's one of the problems. But if we can get the pay, right, like I've asked you guys about, if we can do that, I suspect, first of all, we'll keep the people we got. I don't think they'll leave, because most of them talk about leaving because of the pay. So if we can get the pay right, that will keep them at least where we're not losing people. The other thing is, historically, what I have seen happen in the past is that whenever most of the part-time employees that we've had that's been real loyal and will work about any time, they're the ones that actually want a full-time job. Well, most of them don't have an interest in a full-time job because they can get better pay somewhere else. So they're not looking at that. And yet, the last month you asked me about, you didn't think I was selling the and all that. And I do every time. I talk to everybody every time. But I'm also seeing the writing on the wall, what's happening. And it's not just us, it's everywhere. And the problem is really right now, we've got a situation that we don't correct this. And I'm not just talking about you guys. I'm talking about nationwide. If this, I put something the other day, which had this article, and I asked in this article, put in Facebook, and I put anybody knows the senators, representatives, even you guys, contact you guys and talk to them and tell them, on the federal state side, we need to see higher reimbursements from Medicare and Medicaid. You know, they have not kept up. That's not helping none. But you know, the more we could bring in, the more you guys would have, you know, in the general fund to help fund us. So, you know, I was asking everybody, anybody know any of this, you guys know any senators, representatives, even if you don't know them, you guys don't mind calling and telling them we EMS is hurting and this is nationwide. And if we don't do something to get better reimbursements, what's happened up in Knox County is going to continue on. You're just not going to have enough people to do this because there's a lot of people who will not go into this service now because they can either go and work, you know, at a factory, you know, with no training they have to do. They can go there and make more money than this. And then you look at also that they can spend their money, they are going to go to school for something that is easier, less stressful, and makes more money. So this needs to be looked at from every perspective. You know, I started off with you guys because in fact, you're my nearest connection to trying to, you know, fund this. But we need help from, you know, the federal government, state, and local government.
So yeah, again, your proposal was for like paramedics to make roughly what the people that work the most overtime made last year. I mean, you're right in that range
Well, yes,
on dollar figure. My hesitancy with switching, making a big switch to that is that we turn around and get burned and it's next September, October, and you're in here and say, hey, I don't have any money for having enough people. I just don't see how paying somebody more to work their standard shift is going to make them more incentivized to take an extra shift that apparently they're not getting paid for, or is there, it just seems too good to be true.
I want to have these discussions with you guys early on. You know, that's why I told you whenever we had that meeting, I had the others come in and talk to you guys, the doctor, the guy from the state.
Certainly, all we care about is the money at this point, though.
Yeah.
We understand the need. I can't, but I just don't see that what you've offered as a solution makes anything better other than.
First of all, what the final thing that we came up with, okay, as far as payroll, we was figuring that, and we was figuring that we could come up with that like paramedics. Let's just stay with paramedics, it's easier to stay with them. If we go with paramedics making, right now, they have 8 hours of sleep time, some of them. And they don't always get paid for that unless they go out. What we was proposing was $19.28, which is what the pay is right now per hour for the paramedic. We was proposing $19.28 for all the hours. Not overtime for that. They would do, you know, it'd be like a salary more or less. So they'd get $19.28 for every hour. They actually work 2,900 and like 40 hours a year. And we was talking about, you know, this $19.28 for every hour of that. Okay, now, here's the thing. Our overtime, you know, we're paying like $28 and something an hour for overtime whenever we have to do this. Eventually, this is, our run volume is, like I said, up about 450 runs from last year. And a good portion of those, you know, is going to be night runs. The thing is, what I'm trying to tell you is if we can get it to where they're getting that, they don't have that overtime at night, you know. It's going to be $19.28 for every hour. And yes, it will be an increase at first. But what will happen over time, you guys are not going to see that overtime just continually going up. I did figure in overtime for extra shifts. That was part of that. That was, you know, I think it was what, 1.6 something million. I can't remember exactly. I was on the papers in front of me. And right now we're getting paid 1.5 something, you know, for the overall budget. And but the thing is, we won't have that, you know, we won't have all that overtime. Then at that point, it will actually keep it to where all your guys are going to have to look at as far as increases from a yearly standpoint is for any raises you get.
I'm confused, David. You're gonna have to back up. So you're saying if we pay them for the 24 hours, we're not gonna have shift short overtime anymore?
No, right now, I'm telling you bluntly, right now, we got a problem. You know, it's not, like I told you, you know, when you guys gave me the money or told me to go ahead, you know, increase the part-time pay, you know, we're not going to change this overnight. You know, and I think sometimes everybody expects this problem to just go away with money, but if we can stabilize it somewhat, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, I need to answer the question though. The reason we're rolling red right now with overtime isn't because of the 24-hour thing, it's because of the shift shorts that we're having to cover. Am I wrong?
Well, that's part of it.
Hold on.
That's what we've been told.
I mean, they know what you're telling us, but
We're having to cover a lot of that extra shit.
you're not explaining how to fix the shift short issue that we're having with this explanation. That's where I'm confused.
Okay.
And that's where our concern is, David. Hear me out. Don't interrupt. We can raise it and pay you 24 hours and we'll set it there, but you still haven't fixed your shift short problem. Hear me out, please hear me out. Let me finish my sentiment first. We're giving you your time to talk. I'm very familiar with the emergency personnel field and how hard it is to cover things. Covering shift short is where our overtime is killing us in every profession. I can tell you that in the police world, in the fire world, it's your proposal, number one, has to be fixed by the commissioners because we don't do contracts. Number two, it's not fixing the shift short. And that's where our concern is. We can pay the extra money, consume the overtime and put that in there to pay the 24 hours. But there's still, I'm gonna say 2 million in overtime that you haven't answered the question for yet with shift short.
No, there ain't no 2 billion. I don't know where you got that.
Well, you're saying 1.2 million is what you put in for overtime, right?
No.
Right?
No,
So here's my question though. If we raise the salary, that raises the overtime rate.
no. See, what I'm trying to tell you.
I need to know how to fix the shift
We
short.
talked about this privately where we could explain this to you and I could sit down with you guys because I feel like I'm getting frustrated because I can't get.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Absolutely.
You're not talking about, you're talking about them getting paid a regular rate for the sleep out.
I get that part, 100%, 100% understand that.
And so what,
Hear me out. Okay, what I'm trying to get across to you guys is for the regular shift, there'll be no. There is gonna be. no-
But that's not where we're getting dinged, I don't think. Our concern
the
is
bulk of it is shift
shift
short.
shorts.
I understand that that's what's going on now. What I'm saying is,
How's that gonna get fixed with your proposal?
well, first of all, what I'm hoping to do is stabilize our service so we don't have people leaving. Because that's part of our problem right now. We got one person left and we still haven't filled that spot. We're trying, but we haven't filled that spot yet. So
Did he
that-
leave for more money? What was his reasoning? Was that the sole
I
reason?
think that's a lot of it. I think he got an opportunity that, don't always come along every little bit. I know also we have two other people looking at the job.
We hash this over every time for half hour, gosh.
Never get a chance.
I heard this too
Another
much.
one has looked at something while back. And I'm just trying to tell you that.
You've
first of
done-
all, the amount that I was asking for, just so everybody's clear, okay? Or what what you guys gave us this year, was basically $154,000, I think it was, is what we asked extra. And that would take care of, at least the way I figured it up. I looked at all the sick days, vacation days, personal days, figured out how much it would take to fill that in at time and a half, if we have to do it. And that's where I came up with the 154,000, which then kicked it up to 1.6 million something for the entire budget. But that don't even mean that we will get to that point, was what I'm hoping for. And I'm telling you, you guys are wanting a definite answer. I can't tell you what everything's gonna happen. Our business is so fluid from day to day, what's gonna happen. And to tell you that it's gonna solve it all right off the bat, I can't. But I can tell you this much, if we pay everybody like what I was asking for, first of all, keep the ones that's here. Then also, a lot of them has told me, I don't know how many times this has been brought up, they said, well, what are we gonna get paid? And as soon as I tell them, no, they're not interested. But if I can tell them that you're gonna be paying for the full amount for every time, I can probably get people in here. And I can probably get some decent, part-timers, because right now, part-timers that we have, give you an example, okay? Last pay period, and when you can vouch for this, I paid, I think, close to $64,000 per pay. Okay, out of that, probably about 2,900 of it was part-time. That's, but this was new too, the changes to this new, the increase of part-time. It's not had a lot of, but what I'm saying, if you look at that overall budget, most of it is, and we also have, I've told you also in the past that the full-time people has already vouched for the part of the balance, but they had said that they will, right now in our contract, if they have a short week, which they do probably 2/3 of the time, they get chances at overtime for the time, which always includes a little overtime. they have said that if they got paid like what we were talking about, the 1928 per hour, they would take it out of their contract about that, and they would put it to what our part-timers would get first chance at. Well, if that happens, then we shouldn't be seeing as much overtime. Again, I can't, you know, I don't have a crystal ball to sit here and tell you guys everything's gonna work. Please understand. If you was in my position, you'd see what I'm saying. I can't do that, but I can tell you what I believe will happen from the past and what I've seen. So I've been here for 38 and a half years. I mean, I've seen whenever everything was good, how people would want to get on part-time because they were told to get a full-time job. Right now, and there's nobody that's working for us part-time that has any interest. And because they all got their paying jobs elsewhere, they're just doing this as a extra.
Are we gonna approve this or not?
Here's a question on, so if we move this out of the full-time, will we run short by the end of the year on the,
I can't say for sure. We're gonna run
What-
short on some lines, probably.
Do you have anybody in the pipeline to fill the position that's vacant right now?
I've got one person that right now I think is going to take.
Okay,
But now let me tell you something else too. You guys have got to understand, I figure on this all the time. And what I did was I went through and looked at if we had everybody with 80 hours regular time. Okay. And then I also put an 8-hour holiday because we had about 7 holidays. We got like 6.5 days left. So I put it for 88 hours regular time to figure out if we'd have enough. We should have enough in our, we should have enough still to figure out for the rest of the year in the regular, full-time permanent.
If you don't have to move to overtime again.
Right, now, if I do, I still got a little flush there, just a little bit. But the thing is, please understand, I've been checking these numbers time and time again. And, you know, and I also know that there's a chance that we're gonna run short. But like I said, we've had 450 runs more right now at this point than we did last year. Okay, and then we also have so many people that's been out with COVID and other things. I mean, we've been hit hard this year. And this is not the way I wanted to start off in EMS as far as being director.
How many shifts short a week are you thinking you're averaging?
Well, and actually, if you're talking about full shifts, because what we usually do is build like 12-hour shifts. But if you're talking about full shifts, this last weekend, I worked a shift this last week and I worked a shift the weekend before. And then we still, like the day that I worked for extra shift, we were short that day, even with me working. And we had one truck down, just an advanced or a paramedic non-transport unit. And we're seeing it probably.
what's a paramedic non-transport unit?
It's just paramedics on it. It's got all the equipment. You just can't, it's the SUV that's a. You know, you've seen that black SUV.
Yep.
That they're running out of that and you could not get a second person. So they basically got all the paramedic equipment. They have all, you know, the monitor, all the drugs, everything else. They can do anything the paramedic can do on the scene originally, but where the thing is, they just can't transport. So what they do is they stabilize the patient best they can until we get on. And so.
So what's your guesstimate on number of shifts short per week average? Is it 1? Is it 5? Is it
What we've been running recently is we're probably looking at least 3.
3 a week?
Yeah.
That's about an average.
Right now on average. And see, we wasn't doing that earlier in the year. But as time has went, like I said, these guys are getting tired and they're just, you know, they're saying, I'm done. You know, we've got some people, we've got one individual that you guys brought up that worked like 150 hours overtime. But it's because we couldn't get anybody else. And, you know, I don't like, and, you know, and I kept asking him, are you sure you're going to be okay with this?
Who's in charge of getting somebody else? Who's that fall under?
I've got a gentleman named Chris Jones. He's the one that does it. But what happens is when we get to that point, I get involved too. And I start calling around, but this is just what we, you know, in other words, this is where we're at. And it's, and this is not unique. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I know Posey County has shut that down several units here recently, I've been told. You know, it's got to be, and just like the guy that was from the state, you remember he told you that Up in Indianapolis, they only, they able to, Indianapolis EMS, they're only able to staff about 50% of their trucks right now. And this is, you know, that's why I'm asking for every bit of help. If anybody knows, senators, representatives, whatever, because until we can start addressing it, if somebody put 2 years of college.
Where are we at year to date on overtime?
Christie just looked before this transfer and the full-time paramedics, 226,559. So you take the 40,000 out. Now, I just figured roughly 88 hours on the, and I think we're gonna we don't have extra based on what I figured. After
We don't
this,
need extra.
I don't see extra.
Well,
I mean, I think we're trying to solve too many problems right now. At the end of the day, I'm gonna absolutely vote to appropriate whatever money we need to appropriate to pay their overtime. That's not a concern. Fixing the long-term, I don't have an answer, David. That's why I'm,
Well, see, what I'm trying to do right now is just get us through to a certain point, and then we need to address something here towards the end of, you know, our beginning of December. I'm hoping that we address it then, but right now, I'm just trying to get us through to that point. Nothing I can move if, you know, what you guys want me to do, you know, because I've been trying to watch other areas and trying to make sure the money's there, but.
Put money in two different things.
And, you know, I don't, what Wendy was saying, but ever since I figured this, you know, we got 6.5 pages left. And, you know, and there's including 30. You know, so
that's where I'm with you. I'd rather just see us appropriate the overtime money. So you think we're push on the full-time line without the transfer?
Once you do the transfer,
We'll still be flush?
very close,
Okay.
very
As
close.
long as it's not, hey, you're guaranteed you're going 40,000.
I don't think you'll go 40,000 over.
Because I'd rather see us appropriate the money in the overtime just to track it for
Yes.
tracking purposes.
Yes.
This is what we're, yeah,
Well,
than to do a transfer. But if we can make a transfer and you're thinking we're gonna be flush, I'm fine with the
I
transfer.
don't think that you will have any money left. But
That's why I was asking it, because if,
See,
1 month, and then after that, I think we just do additional appropriations for overtime. That's my opinion.
right,
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer today. Both of the transfers in the series that he wanted. It wasn't about not paying it. It was just trying to figure out, I want to see the overtime. This is, and we all understand. Trust me, I get it. We get it.
Math on the solution
Well,
because
the thing, I can get it for you. I mean, I can figure it up right now.
No, it's good.
We got 16 paramedics.
Can we approve both of these? You make a
I
motion,
made a motion to approve both, David.
both?
I'll make a motion to approve both.
I second it.
we did that.
We
We
did
voted
that.
on it. I can remember, it's been so long.
If you guys got any wonderful ideas, I'm
I
willing.
wish I did. That's why I was trying to ask you all these questions.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be pointed or disrespectful. I'm just trying to
The thing-
grasp my head around it as well.
I have sat and figured, I got up in the middle of the night, I wake up and I keep my mind off of it, sat in there and figured. And
All we can do is money, though. You understand that? All we can do is the money. That's it.
but what I'm saying is, if you guys have any contact with senators or representatives, whatever, anything you guys can do to.
Just saying the same stuff over. Let's vote.
You know, they need us to be
There's a
reimbursed.
motion and a
We've
second.
Yeah.
got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Transfers approved.
Thank you.
Jim McDonald.
They're half hour.
We have to open a public hearing today, was advertised for public hearing concerning the loan to the South Gibson Community. Is here today. As you know, the Gibson County Commissioners approved the project and then they forwarded it on to, forwarded it on to redevelopment and through a series of meetings with the South Gibson Community, the original authority, the commission approved a total project of $4,030,000. What I'm here today for is an order authorizing Gibson County redevelopment to be able to issue a forgivable note like we did the YMCA. This is money that's out in the future and is to be used for what we call a bridge loan. So they would be able to borrow money to get the project going.
but on the backside, they would have money coming in, the state, big certain. So I'm asking the Gibson County Council, if I have any comments about it, it's a public hearing, to approve the forgivable loan document, after which we would be going to redevelopment. So we've got approval from the commissioners, we got approval for redevelopment, and we also have approval from Gibson County Economic Commission, which is not taking up there, I think that the separate arm of the counties has approved it as well. They approved that October 5th. So I can answer any questions about this, but I have representatives here. They can answer any questions about the project, which is going to be located in Union Township, which is part of Tokyo Union Township. District. And we used to visit the citizens of South Gibson and basically all of Gibson County as another teen center, a recreational type facility in Fort Branch. And as everybody knows, it's a much needed thing for our youth. In coordination with the YMCA and this, I think it's going to be a 1-2 punch for Gibson County. It's very exciting. And, they've done all their homework. And through the ringer. Years they can be in line. And they got a really good project here.
So
Any questions for me?
the total loan or the total forgivable loan is 4,030,000. And is that the total? Is that the total cost of so there's no other funding sources besides
No other what?
no other funding, like with the Y, they had other donations and other things to kind of,
No, we don't have any other funding.
Well, you're getting the yearly funding.
I mean,
Yes, we have been promised a $50,000 donation over 7 years if we complete our project and if this large corporation completes their project and gets it.
that's been, just talking to people is where I'm hearing is where other projects, there's been other sources of income that came in it's not a total TIF funded project. That's where I'm at. Where if you had other donations on the construction side of it. Yeah. On the construction side of it, where it's not a total TIF project.
At this time, we do not have anything else other than the $50,000. And of course, Holy Cross has committed throughout if we run short in the future, they would get private donations and help us out. So that's nothing right.
I mean, that's just for the maintaining.
That's maintained.
And I've talked to you and I believe that your maintenance side is going to be funded. It's just the initial cost for other projects, they've had their own funding and additional funding to get to the goal.
This is a list of the improvements we would like to.
Yeah. Have that. Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. It's just, I'd like to see more of a joint effort than just the one-sided effort.
I see.
That's just me. That's just what a lot of people that I've talked to that's brought it up to me has said that, so.
How many redevelopment meetings do we have?
Well, I'd say at least 6.
This six meetings over a 6-month period where the public could have come and voice their opinion.
But they can come and voice it to anybody along.
They went through the project, they went through the commissioners, they went through the redevelopment, 6 different meetings. covered by the paper at every meeting. And so this is a note. Okay, and if you don't approve the note, then that's fine. Redevelopment will still allocate the money. The note helps them get the bridge loan to get the project going. You're
That was mine.
financing, not in the particulars of what is in the project. Commissioners approve the project as a whole, and the details are worked out by the redevelopment commission.
The money's coming.
The note.
The money's coming. We're just saying, we're gonna get you the bridge to get it started while the money's on its way. Is that,
This forgivable loan is, yes, this is an agreement between the county and the teen center that says we're gonna allocate $4,030,000 in a period that in a couple of years, you're gonna get $1 million.
right?
A couple of years later, you're gonna get $1 million. It's off the TIF district. This note secures them to go to a bank
Right.
and borrow money.
Based on the incoming
so they
TIF
can
money.
Start the project based on this.
Right.
Not on, and this is not to exceed, if their project goes over $4,030,000, they don't get any more from the county.
I gotta figure that out.
They have to raise their own money.
Got it.
But your job is the council fiscal, is whether or not you want to approve this note or not getting into the grass and the weeds saying, we don't like a basketball goal here, we don't like a door here.
We don't want
We
to do
want
that.
you to raise.
We don't want to do that
here."
anyway.
That's gone.
Okay,
That's what the other boards, you're here for the fiscal. You're
so,
not here for it, I want you to do this and I want you to do that. Either, and I mean, I guess I'm rushing here, so. I have a note. Your note says, we approve the note for redevelopment. They have allocated the money.
The money is coming from the redevelopment.
so I just, I was totally lost on what we was actually doing, to be totally honest with you. So we're just saying that we're okaying that they,
Redevelopment.
well, or whoever, go to the bank where they are
For the
getting.
bridge loan, so we could actually start the project before the actual first payment.
It's physically impossible to build it in 4 years with only $1 million at a time. So they're gonna get that up front, which it's gonna be paid back on. All we're doing is a promise of the note. That's it.
And they're on the hook for the interest.
Does that make sense?
We have the guaranteed income to make the loan payments. We don't need permission.
We're not really approving
Money,
the money.
no money.
We're not improving the money. We're just approving that they're going, okay.
You're approving a forgivable loan.
Better now.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the note.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
That was good job.
Well, I just don't know what we're doing.
Made the motion.
That's my.
Derek made the motion.
I made the motion.
Eric motion, Beard.
Here.
What's that?
I just want them to tell my wife to get in.
Forgive him.
We up Chuck's allowance. Is that it? It's under an hour. Yeah, we're a little over an hour.
I have to ask though, is there any other new business? Derek?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute.
No, well, you can't do that.